Today, we are unpacking exactly how the U.S. men's national team managed to pull off a massive 2-0 victory over Australia in the group stage. Now, this match wasn't just your standard win. It was an absolute test of surviving on-field chaos while executing some seriously high-level strategy under pressure. We're going to break down the critical moments, the tactical chess match, and the standout performances that completely defined this game.
And we really have to start right here with the absolute fortress that is Seattle Stadium. The USMNT holds a flawless, literally 5-0 historic record in this building. And man, you could feel that electric atmosphere from the second the players walked out. Keep in mind, both of these squads were riding high coming off opening round wins. So everybody in that stadium knew what was on the line. Grab another victory here, and you essentially lock up your ticket to the knockout rounds. The Americans definitely felt at home, but they were staring down a pretty massive hurdle. So heading into this crucial Group D clash under coach Mauricio Pochettino, the million-dollar question was this: can you actually maintain that home field dominance and secure the knockout rounds without your absolute biggest star, Christian Pulisic? When you lose a playmaker of that caliber, your whole squad has to step up, right? You have to totally adjust your shape and find entirely new ways to generate offense. It's a massive challenge.
Which brings us to our first section, chaos and early luck.
Now, this game did not take long to explode into action. Just 11 minutes in, the United States came out absolutely flying. Instead of, cautiously feeling out the opponent, they went straight for the throat, piling intense pressure right into the penalty box. And let me tell you, this immediate aggressive push caused sheer panic for the Australian defensive line. When you put defenders under that kind of relentless stress so early in a match, you're basically forcing them to make split-second, panicked decisions. And this whole sequence is a textbook example of how high offensive pressure literally creates its own luck. The U.S. drives this incredibly dangerous ball deep into the box, and absolute chaos just takes over. The Australian defense completely loses its shape, and in all that frantic confusion, defender Cameron Burgess, just desperately trying to clear the ball away, accidentally bundles it right into his own net. The stadium went completely wild. Sure, it's an own goal, not a highlight reel bicycle kick, but in tournament play, you absolutely take it. It gave the U.S. a massive early 1-0 lead.
Next up, the defensive wall holds.
After that opening shocker, the whole vibe of the match shifted. It devolved into a really gritty, bruising physical battle. Australia's trying to regain their footing, right? They start leaning heavily on their physicality to disrupt the incredibly fluid American midfield. But that physical push quickly turned into frustration, leading to a couple of really quick, rough yellow cards for Jordan Boss and Alessandro Cercati. And this is exactly where the U.S. stabilized the game. Goalkeeper Matt Freese and veteran captain Tim Ream were like an absolute brick wall. They organized this stubborn defensive shape that flat-out refused to break, denying the Socceroos any real clean looks at the goal.
Moving on to our next key moment, Freeman's hammer blow.
Okay, so right when Australia is probably thinking to themselves, if we can just limp into halftime only down by this one incredibly annoying own goal, we'll be okay. The U.S. strikes a fatal blow. 43rd minute. Rising young star Alex Freeman finds himself in the absolute perfect pocket of space inside the box. And instead of rushing it or panicking with defenders crashing down on him, actually scratch that, he looks like a seasoned veteran out there. He showed pure clinical composure and just slotted the ball right past the keeper, Patrick Beach.
Now, we did have to endure a quick VAR review, you know how that goes, but the goal was confirmed. And that locked down the story of the first half. The Burgess own goal at 11 minutes, the brilliant Freeman strike at 43, sending the U.S. guys into the tunnel with a very comfortable 2-0 cushion. They weathered the physical storm and absolutely maximized their key chances.
All right, heading into the second half, tactical masterclass.
Coming out for the second 45, the game totally transformed. We went from a chaotic brawl to a high-stakes coaching chess match. To really get how the U.S. protected this lead, we've got to talk about game management. For those wondering, game management is basically the strategic art of controlling the match's tempo, the possession, and your tactical shape to totally neutralize the other team. Instead of running around wildly trying to score a third goal and leaving the back door open, it's about systematically suffocating the game to secure the win.
And man, did this set up a brilliant tactical duel. Australian manager Tony Popovic was all in. He makes a massive triple substitution right at the restart, throwing on explosive attacking energy like Nestor Irankunda to try and spark a comeback. But Pochettino? He doesn't panic at all. He answers with his own masterclass counter substitutions, bringing on Sebastian Berhalter and Giovanni Reyna.
Their job wasn't to go toe-to-toe with that chaotic energy. Their job was to step on the ball, completely control the midfield tempo, and just take the air right out of the Australian push. Of course, executing that strategy is easier said than done. That second half stayed incredibly physical, with a flurry of late yellow cards flying around for both sides as players were literally battling for every single inch of grass. But through all the tension and through all the fouls, the U.S. perfectly executed Pochettino's blueprint. They calmly drained the clock, entirely disrupted Australia's rhythm, and locked in that fantastic 2-0 victory. So, what does this all mean in the big picture? Well, this strategic win is huge. Not only did they keep their perfect Seattle record intact, but pulling off this kind of win against a really tough Australian side puts the United States firmly, undeniably in the driver's seat for Group D. I want to leave you with this one final thought. We just watched this team win a chaotic, highly physical, incredibly tactical battle. They adopted on the fly, they had young guys like Freeman stepping up huge, veterans like Ream anchoring the backline, and they did the whole shebang without their biggest star, Christian Pulisic. So, having shown that kind of depth and maturity, just how far can Pochettino take this squad in the knockout rounds? It is going to be absolutely fascinating to watch unfold. Thanks so much for joining.